Hi guys, another video on the Corrado. So I've made a bit of progress with the centre tunnel. I'll just show you that now. So it's in situ and it's kind of where I want it. It's relatively flat now, so it's sitting nice and close to the original floor pan. I've put the dash back in just to see kind of where it sits. I've had to trim it slightly because obviously the new the new center console is higher than the original Corrado one, but that's not too bad. And if I have a quick look underneath, you can see a fuel tank. So I'm not quite sure how clear it is on this video, but it sits nice and tucked up, so it's well out of the way. It's not the lowest point, which is always a good thing. And you can just see just at the back there, we just need to make some panels just to kind of weld all that back in again, but so far so good. Even the original MR2 filler neck kind of fits. I think with a bit of trimming and repositioning, I can get that to sit relatively flush. So yeah, really happy with it so far. What else? 24 valves gone, and in its place is a 12 valve. So I took the O2M gearbox off that V6 4Motion engine and put it on this, just to give me a better idea of what it's going to sit like and look like in the engine bay. Again, more just kind of sitting here staring at it, trying to figure things out, still thinking about how to route the exhaust, and I'm back onto my original plan, which is a side exit. So I think I can use the original VR6 manifold and create a kind of link pipe to move the turbo across slightly. So if I can just put this down for 1 sec. Okay, so the plan now is to use the original VR6 manifold, which kind of comes down, build a link pipe to kind of move the turbo to sit kind of over here. So the exhaust out of the turbo will face that way and the inlet will face that way. That gives me enough room to spin a pipe round here for the intake. And this side will give me enough room to kind of come around here, maybe a very small silencer, go down through here at 90 degrees, and then come out through the bumper. So I think based on the space limitations and options, that's probably the easiest thing to do. I was thinking to kind of to notch out of here and run an exhaust straight down there along the centre tunnel and out the back, but then I get into all sort of problems when I try and get up the back, because then I've got to come up and over the rear subframe, and there's going to be an engine there, so that's going to be a bit difficult as well. So trying to route it conventionally is going to give me more problems than I think it's going to fix, so that one's out now. Had a bit of a rethink in terms of the rear radiator setup and where the intercooler is going to be placed. So the plan was originally to have the intercooler in the roof, just kind of tucked up there where that roof scoop is. However, I still would like to have a rear screen so I can see out the back. If I put the intercooler there, I'm not going to be able to see out the back because there's going to be an intercooler in its place. So I'm going to do something kind of like what they do with drifting in terms of rear radiator setups. And how do I best describe it? The intercooler is going to sit in there. It's kind of like a reverse V. No, it's not. But anyway, the intercooler is going to sit there. I'm going to have a piece of perspex coming straight down here. That will feed air through the intercooler, through the radiator, and out the back. So I'll have to build obviously some perspex going around the whole screen, and then kind of partition it so it focuses all the air coming just into this little section here. So again, through the intercooler and then through the radiator. I'll just grab the intercooler and show you that quickly. So I'll just leave the camera down here without dropping it and causing a mess. soon. What I plan to do is have the intercooler sat like that, and obviously all this section kind of boxed in with aluminium, so the air is only positioned going through here and then through that radiator. Obviously I've got two fans at the back here, so that will help draw air through it all. But again, I think that's the simplest solution, and that will allow me to put one perspex panel over that rear bulkhead, so I'll still be able to see something out the back rather than absolutely zero. Right, moving on to something I was talking about in the last video, which is the shifter. Had another idea which I think might solve it now, so I'll just quickly show you that. So these are two shifters for O2M 6-speed gearboxes. That all belongs to that one, and I've taken it apart just to kind of see how it all works and try and figure out the best route forward. So, as I mentioned in the last video, let me just try and put this so you can see it properly. I think I can deal with that one quite simply, just by cutting a hole in the side here and then welding one of these onto that side. So it will be kind of outside of the case and all the right lengths. The problem is that one gets very close to that one when you're in 6th gear. If I show you, it's going to be difficult to do this one-handed. There we go. That's 6th gear. So if I plan to cut this off and weld it over here, when I'm in 6th gear, that's going to clash against that. So now the plan is to still do that, but move this back ever so slightly. So if I cut this off, move it back, I don't know, 10 mil, weld it back on again, then all that means is I have to move this mounting point back by however much I shorten this by. So if I'm bringing this back 10 mil, I move that mounting point back by 10 mil, and all the cable lengths remain the same. Then I can weld this piece on there, so they're across, they're the same distance. Same with that one, weld it across, and then what I'll do is I'll butch this case and then kind of weld it on the edge of it. Okay, I'm not really explaining myself very well here, but they're the connecting points for the cables. So if I cut a section out of this, it's kind of along there and along there, cut this out of this one and weld it in here, so I'll have 2 ports there, and then I'll have 2 ports there. And again, as long as I measure it correctly and weld it in the right place, the length should be the same, so I shouldn't have any issues with the cables being the wrong length or whatever. So those will be completely parallel, those will be completely parallel, those would have moved back 10 mil, so that has to move back 10 mil, and that has to move forward 10 mil, if that makes sense. I'm sure you've kept up anyway, but that's the plan anyway. So again, trying to make a carbon copy of these two, flipping them over, welding them on. The issue is that then clashes with that in 6th gear, so if I move that back 20 mil or 10 mil, then I have to shift this and shift the point which enters this housing on that side by however much I've shortened that by. Simple. That's the plan anyway, and we'll see if it works. I don't think there's anything else in terms of updates. That's kind of it. So what's next? Well, hopefully next week the engine mounts arrive, so I can get the engine in place and bolted up, and then start working out some of the fine details. Also, once the engine's in place, I want to build like an engine cradle that can sit underneath. Obviously I've got this little kind of pallet thingy which allows me to move it around, but what I'm thinking is to get the engine in the back, clearly I can't lift it in, so it's got to be brought up from the bottom. So obviously I can put the car on the lift and bring the car down over the engine, but I need something to hold the engine where it needs to be, not just sat on a crate or whatever. I need something quite firm to position the engine so I can lower the car down but then still be able to kind of move it around to get it into position. So I've taken one of the engines off the stand, which is the one in the engine bay now, so I'm still left with this stand. So I'll probably use the base bit of this stand to create a cradle, obviously on wheels, that I can firmly kind of sit the engine on, and then use that to move around once the car's brought down over it, and that should allow me to kind of bolt it up. Otherwise it's going to be a complete nightmare to get the engine kind of in around where I need it on the mounts, etc, etc. Right, that's it for this video. As always, thanks for watching. Please feel free to give it a thumbs up if you've liked the video. If you want to see some more, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification button so you can be kept up to date with any new videos that are posted. And if you've got any questions or whatever, just want to chat, comments down below. Right, thanks again. See you on the next one.